Hi everyone, welcome to the A to Z Movie Show. I'm Charlie Aziza, your average moviegoer.
I'm AJ Beltis, your resident movie fanatic.
And today we're reviewing the movie The Shape of Water.
Yes, we are. Charlie and I are already pretty divided on this, so I'm really excited to see how this is going to land.
Well, first off, what are you drinking, AJ?
I am drinking an Irish favorite, a nice Guinness draft. Even though it's not actually draft, but it's from a can. But, you know, I'll take that.
In a holiday glass.
In a holiday glass.
They spell draft differently.
Yes, D-R-A-U-G-H-T.
That's okay. I'm drinking an Awake, which is a coffee stout, coffee porter. I don't know what the difference between a porter and stout is. Is there a difference?
There's really no discernible difference between a porter and a stout. The one classical difference is a stout is typically stronger than a porter, but
okay,
for the most part, they can be used interchangeably.
All right. Well, this is called Awake from Night Shift, which is here in or near Boston. Cool place, good beer. All right. So,
well, before we jump into The Shape of Water, I would love to talk about some big news in the movie industry that hit yesterday. Yesterday at the time of recording, and that is the Golden Globe nominations. So everyone here listening knows one of the biggest nights in Hollywood, a way to celebrate the best in film and television in the retrospect of the year, and usually a pretty solid, not the best, but usually a pretty solid indicator of who we can see at least being mentioned in the Oscar discussions. So let's talk about that first, and I think it's timely because not only were they nominated, but Shape of Water is the most nominated film of the 2017 Golden Globes. So I know that we're already divided on what we think of that.
That's ridiculous.
Okay.
Ridiculous.
All right, so let's start with film and then work our way to drama. And then work our way to TV. I think the first thing that sticks out to me is this was not really a surprise because it had been announced a while back, but the fact that Get Out was considered a musical or comedy as opposed to a drama, that was pretty surprising.
A musical?
Well, it's not a musical, but, you know, Golden Globes breaks up drama and then musical or comedy. And Get Out did get a Best Actor and a Best Picture nomination, but in the musical comedy category. Jordan Peele, who directed and wrote the movie, said he'd rather be nominated in the Best Documentary category than Best Comedy.
Was that just his way of being snippy
a
with
little
them?
Bit, yeah.
Or?
I mean, he tweeted that he was grateful. But let's talk about him for a second, because he was left off both the Best Director, which director's always kind of crowded, so there's never really a guarantee there. He was not nominated for Best Screenplay, which to me was shocking. I thought that was one of the best screenplays of the year. And looking at what I've seen right now, I've seen only 3 of the nominated movies for Best Screenplay, and Get Out was better than all 3. So Shape of Water, Lady Bird, and 3 Billboards, I thought Get Out was a stronger screenplay than all 3 of those.
So when the average moviegoer goes to watch the Golden Globes in mid-January, the average moviegoer watches the Golden Globes, and they see that this movie is in the comedy category. How do they react to that? Because anybody who's seen the movie, I highly doubt that anybody who's seen the movie would seriously classify that as a comedy. I don't see any way to do it because it's not even really funny.
It is
there are a couple of funny lines.
It's a serious, dramatic film. It's the same reason that The Martian was nominated for Best Comedy. And it's ironic because when that happened and that won Best Actor and Best Picture, Golden Globes are saying, yeah, you're right, we messed up there. We'll make sure we classify movies a lot more accurately moving forward.
Accurately, so they admitted it. Okay.
They didn't.
I could just honestly see it more for The Martian than for this. But anyway, it's okay. I'm not too salty about it.
Yeah. But let's talk about a couple other big nominations and leave-outs. 3 Billboards got nominated for 6 Golden Globes, which...
that's got to make you mad, AJ.
It doesn't make me happy. I think the biggest surprise there for me was Best Director. I can kind of see getting Best Screenplay. I knew that it was going to get, with more spots available, because, like I said, they split it between comedy and drama. I knew it was going to get the Actress nomination. I knew Sam Rockwell was going to get nominated. Nothing was really a surprise there for me except for Best Director, and that just made me angry.
Made you angry?
Yes, there were other movies that deserved to be nominated for Best Director. I think the big leave-out on the list, and I know you haven't seen this, was Greta Gerwig for Lady Bird.
Okay.
And it's just a really nice coming-of-age movie.
You love those.
I do love those. Yeah, and then a couple other surprises in terms of who did show up. The movie All the Money in the World. I was telling you about this before we went into the movie, but...
Well, we saw the trailer for it.
Yeah, and what's really surprising is they had to really rush to remake significant chunk of this film. Kevin Spacey was in one of the lead roles. They rushed with less than 2 months until release of this movie to refilm every single scene with Kevin Spacey with Christopher Plummer.
Yeah.
And now Christopher Plummer actually is nominated for Best Supporting Actor for reshooting in 2 weeks' time.
That'd be funny if he got it.
Yeah. I didn't see The Big Sick, but that was a movie that was left out that a lot of people were surprised for. A comedy was left out.
Okay.
And,
I mean, altogether?
Yeah, altogether. And then Florida Project only got 1 nomination, and I wasn't really surprised. I wasn't surprised. I wanted it to get more, but it only got 1 nomination. Let's talk about TV really quick, because I know we should probably hop into The Shape of Water. Stranger Things got shut out for Millie Bobby Brown and for Noah Schnapp, and I am not happy about that at all. And Winona Ryder. So, what's the point of even watching the Golden Globes this year? Because Stranger Things only has 2 nominations.
Oh, shameful.
Right, it's terrible. One surprise that I'm still torn, I think the internet's kind of torn there too, is... God, what's her name? Catherine Langford. Did you watch 13 Reasons Why?
I did not.
Did you watch any of it? Did you start it?
Nope. Nope, I wasn't even really tempted to.
Okay, well, first off, don't. It's not good. But the actress who played Hannah, who's the main character, I think she was... The actress who played her was the best part of that show. And so I'm glad that she got recognized. And, I could take or leave the show itself, the other actors, the other characters, the writing, but her performance was fantastic. So I am glad that she got nominated.
Okay. Yeah, so that's enough TV. This is a movie show.
This is a movie show. Let's talk.
So let's get to The Shape of Water.
The Shape of Water is a romantic science fiction period piece directed by Guillermo del Toro. Sally Hawkins stars as Eliza, a mute janitor working in a government research center in Baltimore. Eliza discovers a humanoid aquatic creature is being imprisoned in the facility.
Merman.
Okay, you sound like the kid from the 13th year. And upon encountering it for the first time, forms an instant connection with the merman. She teams up with her neighbor, her coworker, and a mysterious doctor to free the creature from the confinement. The movie stars Sally Hawkins from Blue Jasmine, Octavia Spencer from Hidden Figures, Richard Jenkins from Let Me In, and Michael Shannon from one of my favorite movies, Mud. The creature is played by Doug Jones, who previously collaborated with Del Toro in Pan's Labyrinth and also played Billy in Hocus Pocus.
Who is he in Mud?
He was Galen.
Who's that?
He was Neckbone's uncle. The one who, dug for clams.
Oh.
He had such a small role, but I had to mention Mud because I like Mud.
Right.
And,
no, I noticed that. Okay.
Yeah, so he was in Man of Steel. He was in Nocturnal Animals that he was just nominated for last year. He's in a lot of stuff.
Okay.
So I like him a lot. But let's just jump right into it because I know, or since it's a water movie, we should dive right into it. But I have a much different opinion of this movie than you do, and so why don't you tell me what your opinion of this movie is?
Yeah, so I went into this movie not knowing anything about it, like I typically do. And at first I was pretty hopeful that it was going to be good. I liked the vibe of the movie. I think they got the time down right. I don't want to say stereotypical. I think it was, obviously I didn't live through the 60s, but I think it was a good representation of what the 60s looks like. Mm-hmm. So I did like that. And then there was some mystery and suspense going on a little bit in the beginning. And that all faded out for me about halfway through. And I was very ready for the movie to be over at that point.
All right, so I want to ask you about what the halfway through point was, but I want to make sure that we jump into spoiler section before that. So this is not spoilers. We're still non-spoiler right now. I see what you mean, but the first thing I want to say about this movie is I went into it sort of thinking, I don't think I'm going to like this movie. I had seen the trailers.
Yeah, you did say that.
I don't like Sally Hawkins. I think that's just a personal thing. I'm just not a huge fan of her performances in general. I'm really over Octavia Spencer. I don't know why she's still as popular as she is, but,
Who was she? Was she...
She was the other janitor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It also just ticked me off when she got nominated for Best Supporting Actress last year for Hidden Figures. I don't know if you saw Hidden Figures.
I didn't. But yeah, no, very mediocre character and performance, I'd say, in this movie.
I don't think it was bad.
No, but it was just...
Before I went into the movie, I'm just like, I really don't like Guillermo del Toro too much. I don't like Sally Hawkins. I'm really over Octavia Spencer. Alexandre Desplat, who does the score. I'm so over his quirky French hero-inspired music. It just
What else is that music in?
Grand Budapest Hotel.
Okay.
And a bunch
That's
of
I was thinking throughout this that this reminds me a little bit of that movie, which I hated, by the way.
He has also scored, I think, either the last 2 or the last 1 Harry Potter movies.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
What?
Yep.
So he did like statues and Lily's theme and all that?
I'm like 99% sure, but now I'm double checking.
All right. Well, anyway, I actually kind of like the score. I mean, the whole French thing.
He did do that.
He did.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. I thought it fit the time. You know.
So I'm going into this
vibe.
movie thinking I'm not gonna like this, and I'm watching and I'm sitting. I'm thinking, well, here we go, and just even the opening scene, I'm enthralled. I'm captured in the first 30 seconds because I'm captured by the cinematography.
What was the first 30 seconds?
Just that kind of the following them through the wet room. Just the camera like going as all the furniture was floating and remember that at all?
I don't recall, but okay.
Well,
that's fine.
I was hooked immediately from the music, the cinematography, and the art direction and the effects right off the bat. None of those let me down throughout the entire film. So overall, this movie is beautiful. I mean, just from the cinematography to the art and set direction, it totally sold me kind of to what you were saying on the era. And the attention to detail is nothing short of spectacular. So just the set direction, the art that went behind it, and the meticulous choice in art direction, it did not go unnoticed for me.
Now, when you say art direction, give us an example.
Production design, the set of the hotel, the set of her apartment.
Yeah, I did like the apartment. It was
the way
cool.
that the lab looked. The way that even cinematography, the way that scenes were framed. So there's a lot of scenes in the rain towards the end of the movie. And I liked the way that they were sort of using rain in the scene, and they were
as
staging
a symbol?
it. Not really even as
metaphor?
a symbol. No, not as a metaphor. It's not like the cigarette from the Fault in Our Stars. I enjoyed the way that they were framing, angling the camera, and the way that they used rain in the scenes to complement.
That reminds me of Drake and Josh. When I think it was Drake was trying to explain to this girl he was trying to impress. They were sitting at the movie theater. And the girl, she was like a nerd, and she was talking about her favorite authors. And then Drake runs up to Josh, because he's working, and asks him, what's my favorite author? And he gives Dickens or something.
Mark Twain.
Yep. Yeah. And he goes down, he sits down with this girl. He's like, Mark Twain.
Mark Twain.
He's like, so what do you like about Mark Twain? So, and he goes back up to Josh. Social commentary. Anyway. Yeah,
it was a social satire, actually.
Whatever, social satire.
If you're going to reference Drake and Josh to me, make sure you get your references.
All right, well, it's been a while, okay. No, so I was thinking throughout this movie that, I don't know if you're not like a gamer, really, but it reminded me a lot of BioShock. I don't know if you've played that at all.
I have not played BioShock.
Or have seen people play it.
Nope.
Yeah, no, very, and that's partly because it's water, there's a lot of water theme, but also the 60s era and the music. So if you like BioShock, you might enjoy this movie for that reason, because it's very
reminiscent,
cohesive.
It's cohesive. Yes. So I would just say from an actual film and artistic standpoint, and throw all the buzzwords out there, mise en scène and everything like that, I'm sold. But there's obviously so much more to a movie than what you're seeing on screen. There's the performances and the story and the characters and everything like that. So you also hit the tone, which you're right. I thought tone-wise through the story, not just through the set and through the characters. I thought they nailed the tone, like you said.
Okay.
Performances, I was all about these performances. Sally Hawkins blew me away.
Yeah.
Because she could do so much without saying, it's such a cliche. She could do so much with so little, but she really did. She spoke almost nothing, let's just put it that way, and with so little, she did so much. Michael Shannon, again, he never disappoints. Richard Jenkins, I want to talk about his performance and his character.
Which one is he, Giles?
He was the neighbor.
Giles.
Is that his name, Giles?
I think so.
Yeah. So, his character, for me, I thought he was like, he's the comic relief. I wasn't really sold on why he was important to the story. Maybe he was just a kind of a side character.
Well, their relationship is important.
Yeah, but then you start following him throughout his day into his personal life and seeing what's important to him and what he's going through. And then I'm sort of wondering, why is this important? Like, is this just an aside? Why go back?
Basically, he's just salty that he's alone.
Yeah,
And that's the theme of his character.
But when he finds out that his only purpose in life at this point is to kind of support Eliza on her mission to connect with the merman, if you will, it all sort of came back together, and I appreciated that journey. And that, I thought it was I just thought it was fantastic storytelling and character development. So
okay,
I thought that was very smart, the way they gave every single character in this movie significant purpose.
I kind of see what you're saying, but I also think that okay, so to go to Eliza, who was the main character, or the protagonist at least, and Giles, I thought they were interesting as a pair, but alone, not so much. Especially in the 60s, having that, they have kind of a weird relationship that would be a little bit taboo. Back in the 60s.
Because we'll specify. Sally Hawkins is probably in her 40s ish.
Yeah.
Whereas,
well, that's not even what I was talking about. But he looks like he's about 60.
Exactly.
But that's not what I was talking about. The fact that they're so close and they're just neighbors and they have a weird relationship. At least it seemed kind of implied to me.
Yeah.
So together, I think they're interesting, but separately, I didn't care much about either one of the characters.
So what about when Eliza went to work and everything? You weren't really digging that? The Eliza with the creature? No?
No. It was, their relationship was very, cliche, like monster and human relationship.
Let's hop over to that, because that is really the crux of The Shape of Water, which...
Yeah.
I hate the title. I think it's a stupid title, The Shape of Water. And in the end, there's sort of this soliloquy, and it kind of makes sense in the reference, but I still think it's a stupid title, The Shape of Water.
I don't disagree with you.
I have petty problems. So yeah, the relationship between Eliza and the creature, it's really never explained. So this is kind of a grievance, and this is not spoilers. It's like kind of getting it. It's not really explained or justified. You just know that Eliza sort of looks to this creature because the creature can't talk and neither can she. And she is under the assumption that the creature loves her. And of course, for the sake of the story, he does. And it's almost a weird adult sort of fairy tale Beauty and the Beast that I was kind of getting.
It got real weird at the end.
It got really weird at the end. And it's just,
and predictable.
It was...
cliche.
Yeah, I think this was... A lot of people reviews I was reading were saying that it is sort of an adult fairy tale, which, Del Toro's done this in Pan's Labyrinth. That was his very adult fairy tale. And I think he was trying to do it again here. But instead of being a little bit more original, I thought it did kind of resort to a lot of cliches, like you were talking about.
Yeah. So we were talking about characters. Like I said, the two protagonists, I guess you would call them, I think they're interesting as a pair. Not so much separately. They weren't particularly noteworthy in my mind, even with the little bit of development that I thought happened throughout the film.
I would say there's more than a little bit. I think you're underselling it. I was impressed with how much they could do with these characters, and I agree with you sort of towards the end. I was waiting for it to be over, but character-wise, I think at least with Sally Hawkins, Richard Jenkins, and Michael Shannon's characters, all three of them I thought were developed extremely well throughout the entire film.
The only one I would really disagree with you on would be Giles. I think the only significant shift we saw was that he was not willing to help Eliza at the beginning, and then he did anyway.
No, he came to her door and even said, I forget what the exact line was, something like, "You're all I have," or "I have nothing left."
Yeah.
He literally, that was a character arc. He wrote...
Was it, or is that just like realization that he had throughout the day?
His realization was the arc, and at least in that time. In that time frame.
Alright, well, anyway. The only character that I was really interested in was... Michael Shannon?
Yeah.
Who played Richard Strickland, who is the big boss at this facility. He was kind of an enigma throughout at least the first half of the movie. You were kind of wondering what's going on with this guy. Like, I actually thought he might be a decent guy at the beginning, and then maybe that changed a little bit. But no, he was interesting. There was a little bit of suspense about his character. I didn't know what was going on with him, what was going to happen, who he was, and then that quickly started to change. But I thought there was a good amount of development, or at least slowly revealing who this character is to the audience, which is almost as good. And
I didn't feel slow reveal. I kind of knew he was a dick from beginning to end, and that was never on my radar.
Yeah, I mean, there are definitely vibes that he was, but I thought it could go either way.
Sort of when he snaps at the end, you can... I wouldn't say that was...
At the end? Took you to the end?
Well, I mean, when he really snaps, when he starts actively being violent and going after people and characters, I think that's...
Yeah, but they really let you know that he's not a good guy through more subtle things as early as halfway through. Or even
I agree,
earlier.
but when he shifts his outward aggression, not passive aggression like with the scene with Sally Hawkins where he's making very inappropriate comments to her. I'm talking about where he goes from that and taking out his aggression on the creature to taking out his aggression going to people's houses and holding people at gunpoint and being more violent. So... that's the arc that I see for him. He doesn't really change. He just becomes more of what he was.
No, I agree. That's what I meant by when I said that he was slowly revealed to the audience, which is, for practical purposes, just as good as character development.
If you say so. We already talked about this, but let's just kind of get a consensus on the story. I thought it was kind of cliche. We talked about this already, but
the whole thing was.
Yeah. So
very predictable from the beginning.
For people who say that this is one of the best screenplays they've seen in years, and this is we've seen this before.
I don't get how you get best screenplay out of it.
So I'm not really seeing anything here that would make me want to shout, this story is wonderful or invigorating or something like that. There are parts of this movie that are wonderful and invigorating, but
definitely not
the story.
It's very forgettable.
Yes. Again, visually, nothing is really forgettable, and at least in my mind, nothing is forgettable visually.
I agree with you. But I think the predictability, the fact that this movie was, I knew it was going to happen from the beginning of the movie. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've seen this before, like you said, so I was not entertained for at least half of the movie.
Yeah, I think it sort of started to overstay its welcome because I was listening to a review from, I think it was Chris Stuckman a while back, and said it's so easy to say a movie is too long, but why
it's only 2 hours, but it felt like a lot longer than 2 hours.
I think this movie, we can say it is too long because it did not fill its second hour with new and interesting story plot points.
Yeah, they really lingered on... Well, I don't want to give anything away. How do I say this? They lingered on what happens after what you could argue is the climax.
So you think this movie peaked too soon, essentially? In that case, I actually agree with you.
And then you're lingering on the fact that this one thing happened, and now you have this other situation. And like I said, I'm trying to keep this spoiler free.
If you've watched the movie, not much to spoil. There's a very distinct turning point in the film.
Yeah. And
about halfway through, like Charlie.
Yeah, it was probably about halfway through, and nothing really happens throughout it besides are the protagonists going to be able to hold on to the situation for long enough, and that's kind of it.
So it peaked too soon, essentially.
Way too soon.
Yeah, I do agree with you there.
I was done with that movie as soon as that happened.
Mm-hmm. So I still have to take a look at my list. I transparently haven't been updating my personal best of the year list over the past couple months, but for people who would say this movie is in the top 5 or even 10 best movies of the year, I could conceivably, given all of the non-story related achievements that I saw in this movie, I could conceivably see this in my top 10 just for, again, the aesthetics, the characters, the acting, the direction I thought was fantastic from Del Toro. Not one of the 5 or 10 best directorial performances I can say with absolute certainty right now. Maybe in a couple months' time I can look back and say that was one of the best directorial performances of the year, but I don't feel confident saying that right now. So that said, I don't even know if I can say this is in my top 10 movies of 2017, but I do think I liked it more than you will, and I'll show my cards and we're wrapping up anyways. I'm going to go ahead and give this movie a 4 out of 5, and I actually was going to give it a 4.5 out of 5 because that's how I left the movie thinking, wow, this is so, I can throw all those buzzwords around again, visceral and captivating, and I think I kind of came to the conclusion after talking with you that it would have been so much better if the story and the screenplay and the originality on that end could match what we were seeing visually and what we were hearing, and the sound, the cinematography, the art direction, everything there impeccable. And I think this movie is going to run away with a lot of Oscars at the Academy Awards. I think we're gonna see it for makeup. We're gonna see it for visual effects, probably. We're gonna see it absolutely for production design, probably for cinematography, film editing. These are all gonna be recognized at the awards, and I'm not gonna dispute those at all. I'm probably gonna be cheering for it to win in those categories. Acting, I will be rooting for this movie to win. So there are so many check boxes where you would say, yes, this is as close to 5 stars if you just hit the story and the originality a little bit stronger. So, with no prejudice, I give this movie a 4 out of 5. I do think that if you're an average moviegoer, which you can take this when I'm done, you probably will walk out of it thinking, it looks cool, but I didn't enjoy myself, which I think is what you're going to say.
Exactly.
But I think there's still stuff to enjoy, even if you're not a movie critic the way that I like to be. So, 4 out of 5 for Shape of Water. I would recommend it.
So, I'm going to give this one a 2.5 out of 5. I did like it for all the reasons that we discussed. The visuals, the vibe of the movie, the fact that they got the 60s down, at least the way that most people, or at least I think about. Some of the characters were very interesting, and it was entertaining visually, like we've been talking about. But for the average moviegoer like myself, it takes more than that. I can appreciate that stuff. I love that stuff. But that's not going to make me watch this movie again. It needs to be entertaining. The story needs to be entertaining. I'm not going to go watch this movie again just because I liked the way that the music matched the restaurant scene. You know what I'm saying?
That's completely fair, and that's why I don't think this movie is for everyone. I think there's going to be a lot of people who see this movie as being nominated for Oscars, and they're going to be like, oh, wow, we should go see this. And
they're going to be disappointed.
They're going to be, again, probably really looking at it and saying, wow, that looks really cool, but I'm kind of bored. Especially in the back end of this movie.
Yeah, and then at the end, I don't know about you, but
I was so ready for this movie to be over.
Yeah, and it was almost laughable at the end.
I want to go. Well, what makes you say it was laughable? Because I don't think it was that.
Well, let's just take a look at this right here. The audience can't see here, but that little, what is this?
Oh, okay. See, I thought that was nice.
That was nice. How many times have we seen that?
I knew it was coming completely.
Okay, that's fair.
For those of you who don't know, it's the final shot. The final shot is a walking cliche, and you knew it was going to happen, but part of the movie. It's a fairy tale.
Yeah,
a lot of fairy tales end that way.
Yeah, so I like the movie. I won't be seeing it again anytime in the near future. Probably never again. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't go see it. Go see it for a first-time view. There are definitely redeeming qualities to this movie, things that make it worth seeing. But entertainment value and rewatchability is low for me.
Up next, I think we're going to try to see, if you're up for it next Tuesday, Darkest Hour, which is Gary Oldman as Winston Churchill. So that could be fun.
Yes.
And I also think by that time we will have both seen Star Wars.
By next Tuesday?
Yeah. I don't know if you're... I'm seeing it Sunday. I don't know what you're...
Yes. We'll probably both have seen it by then.
Cool. So maybe we might be hitting you guys with a double hitter next week.
We'll see. Don't promise things that we can't deliver on.
Maybe.
All right, guys. That's it for this episode. I do want to mention that we do want to hear from you guys, from the audience. If you guys have anything to add to the conversation about this movie or of the 2 movies we've done previously or in the future, feel free. Please reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you guys. You can email us at the A to Z Movie Show at gmail.com.
Sorry, is it the A to Z Movie Show?
The A to Z Movie Show at gmail.com. Or tweet at us. Am I using that terminology right?
You are.
Tweet at us. I don't use Twitter. I do now, I guess. At A to Z Movie Show. Just send us a tweet thing. We'll AJ, you can handle the tweets.
I can
I'll do the
Twitter,
emails. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
So if you have any thoughts, let us know. We'd love to hear from you guys, and maybe we'll give you a shout out on the next episode.
Probably.
Yes, probably, because you'll be probably one of 2.
Maybe 3. Who knows?
Yeah.
Anyways,
Optimism.
thanks for listening to the A to Z Movie Show.